Hello and welcome to another episode of Rebel City Podcast. This week's guest is Stephen Rowan. Stephen is a fellow podcaster, and in the podcast we speak about sort of Stephen's career in the jobs, and it sounds like he's done just about everything from acting to importing cars and interviewing people. And he came to my awareness just through Twitter, and I'll be honest, I had no idea that he had such an amazing podcast. I went back and listened to so many of the episodes, and we talk about some of the guests. And we just had a really nice conversation. I think this is a bit of light relief. Last week we did Community Week, where we put out 3 podcasts. We spoke to Aaron Conley, which was an amazing conversation about mental health, and we spoke about activism. But this podcast is just more of a general sort of chit chat with a fellow podcaster about sort of a multitude of issues, and I really enjoyed it. Just want to say thank you to everybody that contributed to Community Week. The response that we got for social media and the guests was incredible. Again, I'd like to highlight Aaron. Was such an uplifting conversation, talking about recovery and how to move forward with your life after going through like huge life-changing events. But other than that, we'll just get into the episode. So here's Stephen.
I made a promise to whom will not to you, so stop the party. I tried to reconcile a life I lived a while.
So, and welcome to another episode of Rebel City Podcast. This week's guest is Stephen Rowan. How's it going, Stephen? Did I say your name right?
Everyone says Rowan.
Is it Rowan?
I think it's because are we allowed to swear in this?
Aye.
I think it's because that fucker Rowan Atkinson. So everyone has the idea that it's Rowan because of him, but
Right.
it's actually Rowan. But yeah, anything that's not whole prick, I'll quite happily answer to.
Fair enough, mate. So you're a fellow podcaster. We have had a few, so we'll get a bit of a podcasters union going, aren't we?
Well, we are. Although I think it's in tatters after the guys who drunk therapy tried to start beef with us last night on Twitter.
What was the beef over?
That we all got on too well. It's just
National
about time.
Podcasters Day.
Yesterday.
And one of them, what's his name?
Shane.
Shane. He's got just a weird name. He's a Kiwi. He's got a weird.
Shit, I wanted to say that Australian guy just upset him. Is that the Australian guy?
He's Kiwi. The Aussie guy. He decided that it was all too cosy. I know
that will cause beef.
It was too cosy, and he wanted to start beef. So he tagged like 4 or 5 podcasts, and we were just like, "Fuck it, we'll take it."
Yeah, fair enough.
Although Mark Dallas was tagged in it, and I thought Mark will have the best backup
Yes.
because he's got like a wrestling company.
Yeah, basically just turned round at house, actually mob-handed with 16 guys in underpants. What the fuck are you saying?
Like, no, oiled up.
Aye, they're oiled up, they mean
No
business.
thanks. But Matt outed me because I do jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, and he was like basically Paul 1. I'm like, I don't know.
Where are you training?
I train at Connection in Govan, and I train Muay Thai with a guy called Mike Krause, who...
He's done Kraus World.
Yes,
Yeah.
he used to do Krause World in Cambridge Street, but
Yeah.
now he's in the Pentagon building, and he is like so qualified.
As in-
It's outrageous.
Like the
yeah,
actual
he
Pentagon?
spent like, was that?
The actual Pentagon?
No. He's no like teaching
Not that we
people in
know
the
of.
CIA hand-to-hand combat. But he spent like 10 years in LA training with Dan Santo, and so he's like a JKD. He's
Master.
a legend. Aye, legend. The guy's
Super
brilliant.
duper double black
He's-
belt.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, he's got so many certificates. But I took one of my mates, or a mate's mate, along because he was wanting to do kickboxing, and he did a couple of lessons with him, and he was like, Mike would kick fuck at you, wouldn't he? And I was like, he really would. And the guy's in his 60s, he's so quick, so fit. It's
But he's very, very calm as well.
Oh yeah, he's such a nice guy. It's not even like calmness. It's like zen.
Yeah, it's
He's
like
just
an
a
inner
nice
peace.
guy. He's just a really nice guy. But I love going to his school because I had tried a couple of places, and especially places like the Grip House, although it's like a fantastic gym. I just felt for somebody that I hadn't done martial arts since I was about 15 and I was like 35, it was a wee bit too like like intense, and they're trying to train fighters, and I was wanting to go basically to like sort of help my mental health and just get a bit of exercise and add like another sort of fitness string to my bow, and I felt like the guys were taking it really seriously. Although now I'm like 2 years in, I take the jiu-jitsu really seriously, and I do take the Muay Thai really seriously as well, but just for going for the first time, I just felt like it was more of a sort of family atmosphere that Mike's got in his gym. Preferred that to actually going and people screaming.
Yeah, I used to train at a grip house, and I had two of my ribs broken there by now professional UFC fighters, so I don't feel bad about it. But yeah, I know what you mean, like certain classes you go into Thursday morning was like purely for professional fighters, and you would, I mean, I would be like sitting outside in the car just thinking like, fuck, like seriously, like I don't want to go in, and I'm just like that. What part of my gym gear hopefully have I forgotten? And then you're like, no, I've got it all. And then you would like go up the stairs, and only found out recently, like in the last 6 months, that I wasn't the only one that felt that way. But yeah, you're right.
You can imagine. I don't think I would be in any mad rush to like go anywhere where somebody was waiting to punch me in the face.
You get used to it.
You get used to it, and I think it's a part of conflict, whether it be verbal or whether it be physical. I think it's a part of life. I certainly think growing up in Glasgow, and what I found, if you go into a situation and you realise that you have these tools at your disposal, you don't always have to use them, but I think you feel a wee bit more confident.
Yeah.
And it's not like sitting, the back of the pub, like 16 pints and going, I could kill any fucker in here. But I think it's just that point when shit gets out of hand, as opposed to reacting to it, you can like take a wee step back and just go, let's all just chill here.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons why I got into it was I was on a Christmas night out, and there was just two guys. I mean, they could have been anything between sort of 17 and 25. I don't know what age they were, but they basically like cornered me, and I was thinking, I've got two choices here. I either just back down and just talk my way out of this situation, or else I'm going to just explode. And I could feel the blood coming behind. I've got this thing that it's only ever happened like 3 or 4 times my full life, but I just feel like this heat happen behind my eyes, and then I just black out, and then usually I come to and I've like beat the shit out of somebody and I don't really remember what I've done. So I just decided for there, I'm going to go and I'm going to find exactly what you're saying. I want to get the tools so that I don't have this just eruption of like adrenaline and like panic that happens if I'm ever in this situation. I know if it gets out of hand, I can handle it. And that was really why I started like looking into it. And obviously like podcasting, and Joe Rogan was like, cool, I'll get into, and I get into the UFC at the same time as well. So it was like an inspiration type thing.
I've got to say, in terms of when you went back to it, it's definitely like been a precursor to like you being a lot camera. As much as we were joking about, being basically a ninja on Twitter, like you're also probably like the least likely person I would imagine be like involved in violence at the same time.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it's ridiculous. I think that I just find violence you just shouldn't engage in it. It should be a last resort. But I think that a lot of times people engage in it through fear, and it's fear of the other person. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen if there's two of them and there's just you, and they get in first. It's that sort of fear of like, what's going to happen here? You hear about people one punch and they're dead, and so it's that kind of fear response that I was trying to get rid of and just give myself the tools so that I just knew, like, and I think that absolutely, like, it's gave me. I find them really meditative. Is that the right pronunciation?
How you would say that one?
Yeah. So, like, I think that doing it is similar to meditation, where you need to be fully present, and that just means that I get an extra meditation session in.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to a class, that's the way that I look at it. So,
you're right about the one punch thing. I mean, like, I've had the pleasure of the learning experience of, being knocked out or being knocked over and like landing with my head either on a jiu-jitsu mat, which gives a fair amount of cushioning, or on a boxing canvas, which is a lot less. And it's like, your head's ringing and you just feel this pulsing. But, I mean, fucking hell, there's not a lot of give outside on a curbstone or a pavement, do you know what I mean? An idea of, like, somebody having a fight, it's just like, if somebody says to me, do you want to go and have a fight in a ring? I'm just like, okay, well, there's a lot of variables that can be controlled here. We're wearing wraps, no one's going home with, like, wonky wrists or cracked knuckles. I mean, maybe you've got headgear on, maybe you've not, maybe you've got 20x gloves, maybe you've not, but like, no one's coming smashing the back of the head with a scaffolding pole.
Yeah.
That's it. No kicking you if you're lying there
You're still
knocked out.
in a safe environment to an extent.
Absolutely, and I think that things like the UFC, as much as that I love watching the UFC, but there seems to be this sort of like knockout obsession happening, especially on the Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and I think that it stems from, I mean, they get paid more money if they knock somebody out in the UFC. It's an incentive. Yeah, they get like
didn't
they get
realise that.
50k.
Yeah, like if they do like, say, like, they run onto the cage and then they jump off a spinning back kick, it's like, that is the fight of the night, or that is the knockout of the night, and then that's when they're generally like straddling the rings, shouting like 50.
They get an extra
right,
50k.
I'm pretty casual viewer, as we've covered before. That would probably explain the Brazilian fella the other week who was
Yeah,
like doing
50K.
cartwheels and stuff
Exactly.
and then get.
I mean, for
choked
these
out.
guys, it's literally like the difference between make money and no make money, because a lot of these guys, when we spoke to Chris Bungard,
It's a weird way to incentivise it when you look at like recent like steps forward in like NFL things like concussion, and even in like football in the UK, like to then incentivise somebody to like go and knock somebody, it seems a bit like counterproductive in those terms.
I think it's a 50-50. I mean, I think if you're getting blunt force trauma again and again and again and again and again, like the NFL boys, and think how padded they are. I mean, it's mental. Somebody run at 120 kilos, another person run at 120 kilos, maybe 7 miles per hour, force of that impact. But the thing is, that's happening again and again.
Yeah.
But if, we were fighting and we get knocked out, like, game over, like, well done, thanks for coming, here's your prize, whatever. But it's not the case of, apart from, I think it's Cambodian boxing,
Right.
where it's a 5-round fight. You're allowed to do pretty much, I think, everything apart from eat your contestant. No joke. I think it's Cambodian boxing. I'm gonna get some abuse for this. Right, okay, we'll say it's Cambodian boxing. But no, sorry, it's Burmese boxing.
Okay.
You're allowed to do everything apart from eat your opponent. You can like fucking boot them in the balls, headbutt them, or whatever. But say you knock me out, I'm allowed 3 minutes to be woken up and come to.
and then go back in.
Then I can knock you out, and this can happen 3 times. So in the stage of that fight, we can have 6 knockouts, and I think it's like kind of last man standing. But that is like the massive, like, that's the massive exception,
right.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Suppose in football, the soft brain tissues repeatedly hit the ball.
Yeah.
So it's a slightly. So I think it might
there's
be
more repetition
the
involved.
repetition in
Aye.
American football. They'll literally like have guys that are just weak and sitting down and like bringing them back. Right,
Yeah.
get back out.
Yeah.
Like, you need to get
Like
back
that thing
out.
of like, say you and I both going up for a ball or whatever to catch a header, and it's like, how many times you've seen people just like totally like clash skulls,
Yeah.
and it's like temple to like forehead or whatever, or temple to temple.
It's horrible.
And then with the force of the ball, and I think that's, I think it's dangerous. But I think it's good for kids at the same time as well, because they're going out, and I think, well, for me, I think jiu-jitsu teaches you a lot of humility.
Oh, absolutely.
you
You get
can't-
embarrassed every day when you go.
because you can't go up and blunt force trauma. It's not just like, fuck you. It's like a case of, you've got to go in, you've got to think about it. Sometimes you're in a problem, sometimes you've got to get further into it, get out of it. And then other times it's like you're in that problem, then you're just hey.
Yeah.
And then you can, sorry, that's going to fuck the audio.
That's
No,
all right.
that's all right.
With it.
And then, like, you know what I mean? Then at that point, you need to go, okay, well, I didn't get that. But no one's, like, lying there with, like, cracked knuckles or a burst nose or, like, an eye socket. Although the thing that's terrifying for me is, like, I'm 125 kilos. Like, I'm a bit of a big fucker. So if I'm in a pub and, like, there's a disagreement between, a husband and his wife or whatever, I can stand up and say, mate, do you want to chill the fuck out? Like, that's not on. And that will garner a certain amount of tension. But you can get a guy that weighs like 75 kilos that could eat me for breakfast.
Oh, absolutely.
Like with his eyes shut without raising a pulse.
Right.
And I think for me that, not that I'm a bully, I've never been, but I remember like being in the gym one day and seeing this guy walked into the gym and I didn't think anything of him. And I trained with him and I didn't think that much of him. And then I seen him in his first like MMA match, and me and about 400 other people in the audience were just like, because this guy just went in and he totally devastated his opponent. He got hit with a flying knee to the face. He got opened up above there. He was almost unconscious. Like in the first, he fought through the first, the second, the third, and then he won submission the fourth.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, and me and my mates and like everyone else, like when the fight finished, like it was a standing ovation, and it was like everyone was just like, no way, man. That's like
Rocky.
I mean, I think that was like maybe 10 years ago, and I've never seen a fight as good as that since then. It was astounding, absolutely astounding.
I completely, what you're saying about jiu-jitsu, I've had like 15, 16-year-olds completely just milk me. Do you know? And you're just like,
what happened there?
I'm 20 kilos heavier than this wee guy, and I'm on top of him, and it's just the next thing you're just like, like I'm done. Like, and it's very humbling, and I love it though. Like I love doing it. The only thing is that I ruptured my shoulder about 8 months in, and so that's sort of hampered it a wee bit. Because I've got a wee bit of flexibility issue now on this side.
And then you're carrying something and then you're not... Yeah.
That's exactly it. So I need to watch what I'm doing. It's bad for like small injuries like that. I get like bad neck, trap injuries and just tiny wee injuries, but I would rather that than, like you're saying, a broken nose, a broken jaw.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I didn't exercise and get the injuries, so maybe you want to think about that.
It's a trade-off.
Yeah, no, it's true. I've got a mate and it's like, he's never injured and all he does is play golf.
Aye.
And
It's the way forward.
And I was just like,
golf,
I would fuck you up. And he's like, no, if I've got a 7-iron even.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. But so like the Stephen Rowan show, say your name right up, 58 episodes in.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it for?
Fun enough, I think episode 7 was 3 years ago in Compton. I recorded it. So it's probably about like 3.5.
Right, okay.
Wow. So you'd have been like pretty much one of the early adopters then?
Yeah.
For Glaswegian podcasters anyway, for sure.
Yeah, I remember like searching for it when I first started, and I don't think there was anyone. Pardon me, I don't think there was anyone else that was doing it. And yeah, I mean, it's.
I think up until the last 12 months, all I ever found was like football podcasts. There was like an abundance of football podcasts, but very little elsewhere. And then I think in the last year, even in the time that we've been doing it, it's just, you know what I mean? It's like every other day of the week, there's a new one popping up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Who was your inspiration other than Rogan? Because everybody that we have in is just like the Joe Rogan show, which is the best podcast on the planet. Absolutely. I mean, the guy's just
the guy is tremendous. Although I think some of his interviews are better than others, and I think some of his guests are better than others.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I watched one where I'm trying to think of the one that it was Wiz Khalifa, and it was fucking terrible. But you could tell that he was trying to drag the conversation out of this guy. Like it was almost like it seemed like the generations like smashed together. They didn't really have a common ground other than weed.
Other than bud, yeah.
That was the only common ground, and to try and get 2 hours out of talking about weed, you need to get that wee bit deeper. I'll be honest, like I don't really approve of a lot of his guests, especially when he's getting guys like. I mean, the criticism of him's probably just when he gets like guys for the alt-right in, and you're just like, why are you giving this guy a fucking platform? There's that dude that was getting claimed that he got knocked out by Antifa in Charlottesville, and it turned out that him and his mates were goading them, and you're just like, why are you giving him the fucking platform? Like, just the guy was going on about how that he had a brain hemorrhage for getting punched in the face, and you're just like, fuck off. Like, and there's a lot of that. So, although I really enjoy the Alex Jones interviews because the guy's fucking mental.
Well, it's just Cadbury. Like I love watching the ones with like Brian Callen, because that's pretty much like 2 stand-up comedians, 2 business guys, like 2 guys talking about fitness, which are possibly like my 3 favourite things. But the first one that I ever listened to was one with a guy called Magnus Walker.
Okay.
And another guy called Alex Ross, and they're basically talking about Porsches, because I used to have a business transporting and storing classic cars, hypercars, sports cars. So I'd actually been in LA and I went to visit Magnus. He's got a cracking documentary called Urban Outlaw, and regardless of whether you like Porsches or you like cars, it's well worth a watch.
Okay.
So I'd watched that. I'd went to go and meet him in LA, and we'd hung out for half a day, and he's just like one of the coolest guys I've ever met. Like just really interesting guy.
Nice.
And when I came home, like I'd searched, like, has he done any other documentaries? And then I realised that he was on this thing called the Joe Rogan Show, which I'd never heard of, and I think it's like maybe 1134, maybe 1156 or something like that.
Right.
Quite deep, but
yeah. I mean, I'd never heard of it before, and then ended up watching that, and I was just like, oh well, he's talking about one of the guys that I like and one of the guys that I've connected, and I ended up meeting Alex Ross a second time, and then I think from then it was on to Tim Ferriss. And I just found it to be like a really nice voice in your head, if you're like either in the gym and you're doing like, I quite often do like really long workouts, or I love going road trips. If you're in a road trip, like, the radio will only cut it for a certain period of time, or like your favourite album only cut it for a certain period of time. Plus the fact, I thought the thing about podcasts is you're talking about something for like a really long length of time, so you can extrapolate, or you can like go away and then you can come back.
Yeah.
And I found it just to be like a really fun medium. And then I remember one of my pals came back from LA, and he'd been interviewed by this guy, and then it was again another one of my really good friends being interviewed by this guy, and he was like asking about stuff which some of I knew, some of it I didn't know, some of it was time dated, some of it wasn't. And then when he came back, he was just like that. Oh, you should do one of these because you fucking like talking. And I was actually missing. I used to work as a hairdresser as well, so I was like really missing that thing of meeting people and sitting down, having a conversation, and it was generally about 45 minutes to an hour and a half. You would have someone in, and I love that thing where somebody would walk into the salon. It's like there was a name, there was characters in a notebook, but you never knew who the person was going to come in, and it was like that journey of discovery and what do they do and what they're into, or like are they going to educate you?
You've missed a trick by not having a podcast where you cut people's hair for 45 minutes to an hour and a half.
That'd be good, actually. That'd be quite good fun.
I mean, there's so many different podcasts. I think when I was looking through your stuff, I quite like that you're a general podcast. I think that when we started, that's what we kind of thought, we'll just be a general podcast, and even though we talk predominantly about mental health and like men's mental health.
Yes! Fucking more people should be doing that shit.
Why we feel the way that we feel, because I think that but I think we've kind of just got to the bottom of our own sort of ideas on it.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that you're just a general one, because a lot of them, it feels to me, and it's not really a criticism, I think it's just a truth, that it's people trying to have a niche and trying to then sort of push their own media personality, like guys like James English, for instance. He's absolutely just trying to promote himself rather than just have conversations, and I quite like that you're saying that you just wanted to connect with people, because I think that's what makes Joe Rogan's podcast so popular, is that he's not really trying to push anything. He's like, I'm interested in this diet, so I'm going to get a dietitian in to speak to me, and I'm genuinely interested. And I think that comes across when somebody's genuinely interested and passionate. People are like, I'm into that. So, but then when people are just getting people in, then again, it's not criticism, just to either use their platform to promote them, or just to go, this will be I'll get 1,000 views because this guy's get his own platform. It kind of takes the shine off it for me, and it's that sort of, you can almost hear the question answer, and it's like that's
I think that's where the thing for like Rogan, that, because I mean, up until he said, "Would you like to do a podcast?" I don't think I'd ever actually watched a podcast start to finish. I'm going to be brutally honest. Obviously, that changed pretty quickly, and in research, you obviously are going to gravitate towards somebody like Joe Rogan. And as much as he has, the Melosses and whoever else, that Alex Joneses and whatnot, there's also a Brian Cox or a Neil deGrasse Tyson, or what, where he's exploring this other thing, and that's definitely something that I like about it. If you want to go down the niche road with podcasting, it's your format. Go do what the fuck you like with it. Like, it's your thing. Like, go express yourself whatever way you want. But like, having that variety is definitely something that keeps me interested in it, because you're going, who have we got today? And it's like, oh, sometimes you've done a bit of reading, sometimes I've done a bit of reading, sometimes we've got our wires crossed and done no reading, and you just got to go in and like, wing it. You know what I mean? Like, it's the variety that I love about it, and that's something that I think I definitely like. When I watched Rogan and guys like that, went, do you know what? Can I probably want some of that on the go?
So who else was there?
Who else was I listening to? So Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss, they were like the two main ones for ages and ages. Just like flitting, because when you've got a back catalogue of like 12, maybe 1,200 or whatever, you can go backwards and forwards. I did listen to this guy called Andrew Deitch. He's got a good one, and then one of the guys I actually had earlier on. He lives in LA. His name is Cameron McKinley, and that's terrible. I can't remember his podcast, but I just sort of started off with 3. But I think that's the thing. If you're listening to a specialist one, like I'm not that into football. Yeah. If it was up to me, I'd actually remove football from Glasgow. There we go. Controversial comment. We can get into that
probably solve a lot of problems, to be honest with you.
But yeah, I think like, for me, because I was like listening to 2 ones that not only you're listening to it, but you listen to it and you can just stop it, and then you can just go, oh, interesting because he's referenced that guy and I don't know about that. So I found like for each show that I was listening to, I was then getting maybe like 3 to 4.5 hours of educating myself about, whatever it may well be.
Definitely.
Because in a 3-hour conversation, it's like, obviously like there's an hour of smash and then there's an hour of hilarity, but then there is obviously 1 hour of, educational stuff. So from that, I'd sort of just be onto that.
Yeah, it's almost like like YouTube. You just go through one, and then you're like, oh, this guy's got his own podcast.
Yeah.
It's like that. I mean, I listen to. I must have at least 20 in like my iTunes, but I don't listen to them all. I'll listen to an episode here and an episode there, and then I'm like, I really want to go back, but there's just not enough hours in the day, like to listen to them.
I'm listening to The Happy Place with the Fern
Cotton. I've listened to a few episodes of that. It's really good one.
Yeah, it's
really
good.
good.
It's class. It's good. One of my guests that was on the podcast, guy called Gus Warland, he done this tremendous documentary called Man Up about the male suicide epidemic in Australia. And he's now got a podcast, and it's like, he is to Australian broadcasting, what I suppose Chris Evans or Chris Miles is, like he's a number one guy.
Fair enough.
And he's now done this cracking podcast, and it's all about men's health, and the production value on it's really good. So it's kind of nice listening to stuff like that, because you're just like...
I think as well, that's an important way to promote that idea in Australia, because we had Dan Proverbs for Brothers in Arms, Scotland's male suicide charity, or male suicide prevention charity, and he was talking to us about the figures in Australia, and they're dramatically younger than they are in the UK. I think in the UK you're talking like, what was it, like 18 to 45, but in Australia he was saying it was more like late teens, early 20s. So coming at that demographic in like a podcast format that they're engaging with is probably going to be something, especially if you're a mainstream figure, probably quite a smart move to get the message out there.
But it was good. I actually watched the documentary and I was going over to Australia for a wedding, and I think I'd already sent him stuff before I knew I was going to the wedding. I was just like, I just watched the documentary, like, wicked, like, really amazing. Thank you. And he's like, oh, great, glad you enjoyed it. And I didn't know how big he was, so I wasn't surprised that he got back to me, because I'm so fucking important. No, I wasn't. I didn't really expect him, but you know what I mean. And then when I went out to Australia, I sent him a message saying, listen, I'm doing this podcast show, would you mind like giving me an hour of your time? And he's like, yeah, just come up to the office. And then I come up to the office and was just like, holy shit, like this is massive. And then obviously just sitting in reception, you've
just realised
calm as fuck, and you're like, oh, right. Okay. and then they ended up getting a tour of the studio, and then I was just like, yes, this is like better than Radio 1. This is like Radio 1 and Crack Cocaine. It's fucking tremendous.
Yeah.
And then went in and sat down with him for an hour, and yeah, he was really good. He was. And
you've been in radio yourself, is that right?
Yeah, so I'm sort of taking a hiatus, which is a fancy word for not decided if I'm going back yet. So I had a radio show as well. So I was doing that every Thursday and Friday drive time for about 2 years, which was really good fun. Again, you're able to, I'm sure you have guests that you get on, and then there's like other guests, and you're like, can we wrap a show around that? So it was really nice because I could, get folk in from the RSPCA, and I could get like folk in from, Street Support Scotland or whatever, Street Soccer. And I could just get them in for like, 20 minutes, and we could cover like pretty much everything, in sort of 4-5 minute segments while, doing that sort of desert island discs of, watching, what does it make you think of? And it was, really nice because it's better than the normal drive time show. And if you're travelling the M74 in between junction 90, you're like, fuck off. So it was good. I really enjoyed that as well. And again, sometimes you're getting guests in by email or by text message or Twitter, whatever, you've not actually spoken to them. And then like they come in the studio, and there was one particular person, and it was just like, oh my God, it was like such a hard interview. Like one of the hardest interviews I've ever had in my life.
Was it? I take it was one that you were looking forward to by the sounds of it?
I was really looking forward to it because it was something that was close to my heart. It was something that was like a really exciting project that was wrapped around this, and it was an industry expert that was coming in. So I thought it was going to be like really good fun.
Easy.
Yeah. But that immediate thing, it's like, when you meet someone, like the first 3 seconds, it's like, is there eye contact, yes or no? Is there a handshake? Is there a gesture, whatever? And this this guy came in like he'd just taken a shite in his, in his driver's seat or whatever.
We've not quite had the
Something
we've
must
not
have
we've not
happened,
quite had the
surely.
train wreck yet.
No, because I just, because some people come alive, when you flick the switch.
Yeah, they just.
And then, that's really interesting. And they start leaning forward in the body, but he was just like that. And I'm like, this is a really exciting project. And how did you get involved with this? And he's like, well, I was just in the office, and it was a Thursday morning, I think. Maybe it was a Wednesday. It was a Thursday afternoon. It was. And I got a phone call from Michael, and he said, how you get? And I was just like, what?
Ouch.
Ouch.
I
But
think we figured out quite early, well, maybe not early, but maybe 5-6 episodes in, that there's only so much you can do. That you need it needs to be a two-way street between the guest and you, because a couple of times I don't think we've ever had like that bad an experience.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so, but there's been a couple of people that are clearly nervous. You're thinking,
That's a bit of a weird one for me. I'm still getting used to that people come in and go, quite nervous by this, and you're like, it's like we're literally sitting about in a bedroom talking shit.
yeah, we're just having a carry on. But I'm a firm believer that and I don't think it's just for podcasting and interviewing or whatever, it's like if there's a really hard point in your life, there'll be tools that you'll get from it, and there'll be experiences from it. And it's like then at that point, that when you go into the next one, if it's equally as hard, you're prepared for it. Mm-hmm. And if it's an easy one, then you're like totally match fit for it.
Yeah.
Like I went out to do the one in Compton, and that was really...
So who did you interview in Compton?
So it was
I stood here with a tattoo on his face.
no, that boy's from Dumbarton. I used to
right,
train
okay.
That's David Rafferty.
Just total assumptions getting made. All the
So it's episode number 7. So
Oh, right, okay.
it was actually 3 years ago this week, and
wow.
it was two guys from Compton who are from rival gangs,
Right.
and they basically would meet every so often at parties or whatever. And they had like mutual female acquaintances, and they reached that stage in life where they were seeing their pals either being shot and dying, going to jail, or just like an early grave, and that was it. So one of the boys' mums, she was a lawyer, and she just said like, your pals keep on dying, like what's your fucking game plan? And he was like, oh well, I really like cooking. So she sent him to the Cordon Bleu, which you'll know to us sounds like really cheesy, like something you'd buy from the garage at 4 o'clock in the morning. But she sent him to this Cordon Bleu chef school.
Yep.
And he was there, and then at the weekends he would go and he would cook for these high rollers and stuff in the suites. And then he also had a cracking Instagram business where I think he would sell fake hair, like hair weaves.
Okay, right.
And then he came back, and then the two of them decided that they would set up this business where they would go and buy stuff like say from Aldi or Lidl. In the mornings they would go up and like, well, what's in special? Well, pineapple bowls in special, and chickens in special. Let's go back and we'll do a teriyaki bowl, and then we'll just put it up on Instagram, like available from 10 till 2. And then that was a thing, and then they would just do that. And now they've worked their way up to, they do outreach programs with schools.
Wow.
They've got food trucks up and down the west coast. They've done catering for like barber shop, all these different things where they've just went into, and that was a really tough interview. Like it was really, really tough. And the only reason why we got through it is because he asked me what kind of guns do we use in Glasgow.
Right.
And I said, oh no, we
Don't have guns.
we don't have guns.
No,
And
we'd all go, we stick to knives.
yeah, I used to work as a bodyguard, and went away in the...
What? Like, wait a minute. Like,
I've done lots of
podcaster, radio
Hairdresser.
presenter, hairdresser, actor, bodyguard,
Comedian.
owned a Porsche import business.
Yes, no, I've had tons and tons of different jobs. I had a private paper round, scaffolding. I had a car valeting business. I've been to business school. I've been to art school. Used to DJ. Used to clean dishes in the kitchen. Used to
We're going to
serve
need more
drinks.
episodes here, dude.
Used to manage bars. Yeah, I've had lots of stuff. But when I was doing the bodyguard stuff, we had to do a first aid, but it's not first aid for you've cut your finger. It was like, okay, well, it's hostile medical stuff, so you've been shot, like what we're doing next. So during the course we'd talking about like stab wounds and stuff, and been talking about like blood and viscosity and like air and suction and blades and this kind of carry on. So when I'd said to him, we don't use guns, we use knives, and he just sort of leaned up to me and went like, up close and personal.
Did they like that?
He went like, you never forget that. And then I just said as a throwaway comment, I said, yeah, that smell of iron in the blood, it's something you never forget, is it? And then at that point, he just totally leaned back and was like, so what do you want to talk about?
Right.
And
so
that yeah.
Doesn't realise you're talking about a training course.
Yeah, that totally broke the ice. And I think that, you know, it's easy, like, you know, for us to like sit in a room and, you know, like three white guys, but I think that if you grew up in Compton, certainly from having spent time with them on and off the recording, their introduction to a white male figure is somebody that's wearing a badge.
Yeah. Just they're slightly sceptical about,
you know,
what your agenda is and why you're there to interview them. And
yeah, totally. I mean, I'd sent a message saying, "Oh, just, you know, came across your project." I mean, I was in there before Vice. I was in there before CBS. I was in there before Fox. And
so how did you?
I'm fucked if I know
with them.
All right.
Like, how did that come about? So
well, they had their Instagram page, and I think that's how I stumbled across it.
Just DM them on Instagram.
And
So that's kind of like what we do. Is
Yeah.
we just sit on social media, and if something piques our interest, we just direct message people and hope that they come on. And we've been trying to sort of think a wee bit about, like, is there a better way to do this? And I don't think there is. I think that especially for this type of platform where you're trying to just get somebody in and engaging with them, it seems to be that sort of just like, hey man, I've got a podcast.
Yeah.
Do you want to come on?
Yeah.
Seems to be the best sort of format. So
I think if you start going down agents or whatever, like there's a certain person from a British telly that everyone knows, and I'd spoken to their agent. Sorry, I'd spoken to them on Twitter and said, listen, I've got this show, this is what profile.
Mm-hmm. And then they went, I like that idea, go and speak to my agent.
Yeah.
We've had that a couple of times as well, and it's never worked out.
And then the agent said, how much are you willing to pay?
That's it.
And I was like, well, I said, if you tell me how much it's going to be, I'll see if I can attach like value to that, or if I can raise that amount of money. And he said, no, you tell me how much you're willing to pay, and then I'll tell you if he's willing to do it. And I was just like,
surely there's like a standard rate or whatever for this type of thing. Surely that's an agent's job.
Yeah,
like, to be like, this
how
is
much the person was going to be in Glasgow, Edinburgh, Inverness for a period of time. And I'd said, well, I'm more than happy to either transport them from A to B to C, or I'll meet them before or after or during the performance.
Yep.
And then he was just like, yeah, we'll just, you know, give us a figure. And I was like, well, can you give me a figure? He goes, anywhere between 10 grand and nothing. And I was just like,
I'll pay nothing then.
Yeah, I'll pay nothing, you dick.
Yeah, that's
but then after that, like, they just went absolutely cold.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you're just like, I have not like, oh, poor me. But at that point, you've like poured a lot of like positivity and a lot of energy into it. And then when you get stuff like that, you're like, fuck you then. Like now I think that you're a bit of a dick. Or now I think your management's a bit of a dick. So now that if you come to me, then there's now this... There's now this like imaginary beef between us.
It's only happening in your head, but it's absolutely...
But then if the person comes in,
feel salty.
you know, I can't then go, oh, it's lovely to have you in the show, because I'm just going to think, your fucking representation's an asshole.
Yeah.
So
it's a shame. It really is a shame, but I think that... I mean, we've had reservations. We've had a couple of politicians, and I've had reservations about bringing them in here and being like... It's just down to the basement, into the spare room, like, you know, like that type of thing. But to be honest, like, I mean, the last guest that we had on was Paul Sweeney, as an MP, and he came in and he was like, "Oh wow, this is class."
Yeah,
they're like, "Oh really? That's cool." Like people are always like, "Oh, this is cool." Like,
I think
they watch the show and they think that we're in a studio for something. You're like,
my experience
there's a
with
bed over there.
Management, because I took a wee bit longer on the pickup when it was about getting guests in and stuff like that. He's like a salesman and fearless, so he just waded straight in. It took me a bit of time to get to grips with it. And I remember one time approaching a kind of like extreme sports kind of personality in the build up to, you know, one of the shows, and was like, "Oh, we'd love to have you on," and, you know, blah blah blah, like, love your work and all the rest of it, and get a like reply back from a management company going, you know, what's your media pack and blah. And we've been doing this for like 4 seconds. Like, we were just like, well, do you know what? Sorry, I've wasted your time. So I found like interaction quite instructive a lot of times, because they tend to ask for things that maybe we've not thought of yet, or we've maybe not put together and stuff like that. But that one was a bit of a humbling one, where the guy sent back like, "Oh, this sounds really cool," and like he was actually they were into it. You know what I mean? Like, and like, what's your reach and blah blah blah. And I was like, I'm sorry, I've wasted your time here, man.
You had one guy saying, "Oh, I'd love to come on your show, but only if you have 100,000 subscribers."
I've heard a few people say
and
stuff like that.
Mate, if I had 100,000 subscribers,
I'd maybe be getting better people than you. Let's put it bluntly. I actually seen a thing on Twitter the other day that had a job application that said minimum 20k Instagram subscribers. So this is the potential of where we're
An
going
actual like job.
yeah, working for a software building company.
Fuck me.
But they're all trying to promote, so they're all
Right.
it'll be part of the job remit. Will be you need to promote once a day, or you'd like Instagram story. But 20k minimum Instagram followers before you can
That's
even apply
wild.
for a fucking job.
But it's mad though, because it's like you could be like a fucking idiot.
Aye,
Hey,
like
Takashi 69. I mean, I've obviously who's not been like had like clips of him in their Instagram or their
Yeah.
Twitter or whatever. But it's like, you know, I'm tempted to say something quite inflammatory.
Go for it. Fuck it. Who
aye,
cares?
we're on.
He's a fucking idiot. He sounds like a fucking idiot. He behaves like an idiot. However, he has like however many followers. So if somebody wants to like launch a set of headphones, a set of trainers or whatever,
Yeah.
then you just go, okay, well that guy has the ear and the eye of like we'll say like 1 million people. So
Yeah.
you know, let's push that through.
I mean,
and I'm
let's
just like,
let's be honest. If you are into that, right, and one of the Jenner girls is like, here's this amazing palette of makeup, and you go and buy that, you're a fucking idiot as well, because they are selling you pound shop shite
Aye.
at 25, 30, 40, 50 quid, and they're getting paid ridiculous amounts of money for you to be like, oh, that's going to make me look and feel like this. It's like, no, do you know what? She's a billionaire. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to look and feel like that, unfortunately. No pissing on your chips, but this is like, we're getting back to this snake oil salesman thing that happened in the turn of the last century, where we went through this
Elixir.
whole we went through this whole regulation thing where we're like, we need to stop selling these things that don't work. I mean, cigarettes are a prime example where it was like, Woodbine will keep the doctor at bay or whatever. You get a chesty cough, have some
fag.
cigarettes. Aye. But we get away from that over the course of 100 years, and it's like, right, now we know it's killing people, but now the internet has opened it back up. Now people are selling, like you're saying, like £5 Bluetooth headphones for 100 quid because they look like earpods.
Yeah.
And we're going back to the fucking
Vaginal
snake.
eggs.
I just can't
What's
believe
that?
Vaginal eggs.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, I can't believe that fags are still a thing.
Surely they're dying out. Like vape, like vaping.
like,
Like,
I'm a
ridiculous.
hardcore smoker, by the way, so
Right,
I'm
no,
going
no,
to
no.
take an unpopular position on this,
Right,
no
no,
matter
no.
what you say.
Right, no,
Stop
fair
it.
enough. But here's the thing: if we all went to a bank or the Building Society, Business Gateway, you know, funding body, and cigarettes were not about, and then went in and said, "We'd like to reach this, you know, this new product." Okay, well, can you tell us about it? Well, it's a plant. You dig it out the ground, you roll it, you cut it up, you package it, you sell it. It's £10 a packet. We have to give this amount of money to the government. Okay, any downsides? Hold on. Diabetes, cancer, heart disease,
Right,
glaucoma,
maybe I'm not going to disagree here.
strokes. It's going to like fuck the NHS. Something rotten. Sorry, can you just repeat all that again?
Do you want to
what?
invest? Do you want to invest?
Tastes
in this?
amazing with coffee, though.
Right, I used to be a smoker.
There is an upside. There is an
Right,
upside.
I've smoked for many, many years, and there is something, and I think it's the only redeeming feature about smoking. As a smoker, it is perhaps the only time that you focus and concentrate on the inhalation and the exhalation of your breath. I mean, you know what I mean? Think about it. Like when I worked in hairdressing and I was like
That
really
technically
stressed.
makes it meditation.
Yeah, it is. It's meditation. It's meditation while killing yourself with poison. But it's just like that. Like I remember like smoking fags, and it's like when I worked in a really high pressure job, it's like I had like 9 minutes for lunch, but god damn it, that
I'm
cigarette,
getting a cigarette,
that
yeah.
cigarette was getting fitted in.
Definitely.
The
It's an
kind of
interesting take, actually. That
Yeah.
it's,
Oh, yeah, no, I'm definitely not going to disagree. You're absolutely right. It should die out. Like I've had periods off it and did the whole vape thing, but like all a vape does is remind me that I'm no smoking. So
Yeah.
it does like, and I'm like, smoking's significantly better than this. Like I don't really want to just soak in like strawberry water. You know what I mean? Like, but that's mine. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
everybody else is different.
I think everyone has like everyone has like a vice or whatever. Everyone has a thing that perhaps they know that they do which they shouldn't be doing, or they do it and perhaps they think, "Fuck, I should be doing less of this." But it's mad though. It's mad. Like I remember like going. So I'm 44. I can remember like going to like parties up at my gran and granddad's up in Knightswood. 19-story Kestrel Road, Hogmanay. You could walk through the room and start doing this and putting channels in the room. There's so much smoke.
Absolutely.
Saying, "Oh, my eyes are stinging."
Ignore the wash machine.
Is that the Dementors trying to come in?
know.
Having like really stingy eyes and saying like to my grandparents and my mum and my dad, "Oh, my eyes hurt," and then them saying, "Do just go and stand out in the veranda for 5 minutes, you'll be alright. And then going out and standing in the veranda, and for any international listeners, Hogmanay in Scotland is cold as fuck. And they're like standing there just going, oh, do you need a shirt or something? Oh no, it wouldn't be there for too long, it'll be fine. And it's just like, that was the thing. Smoking in planes, smoking or non-smoking, so well, surely it all fucking circulates. No, none smoking or
Apparently,
smoking.
so I get the veranda thing, and it's probably like an indication of how far we've come as a society that dynamic has like reversed, and it's now people standing in the house and all the smokers out on the veranda, which is probably
you can go outside.
Yeah, I know. Get you the fuck out in the veranda. And
That's a liberal progression right there.
I think that is evolution in a sense. Like, but like the airplanes one, like I read somewhere, and it might be one of these like pure, Uber facts or whatever, that like plane air was actually better when people smoked because they had to like circulate it more often to get the smoke out the air, whereas like they still circulate now, but not to the same extent apparently.
And now it's just farts. It's just circulated farts that you're sitting in.
Air travel is so fucking uncivilized. I just came back from my stepdaughter lives in Los Angeles, so we go over there to see her, so it was of course a long haul, and I fucking hate long haul
It's
flights.
disgusting.
I've actually got a list of 10 things that I don't like about it.
Okay,
right.
And honest to God, like it's just like, fucking be civilized. You know what I mean? Don't be a fucking dick. In fact, I've got them in my phone. I'm gonna read them out because I really like them.
I've only ever done what could be classified as like 3 long haul flights, and every single 6 but there and back.
Yeah.
And every single one of them's been absolutely horrible, and it takes you at least a week to recover.
Yeah.
Properly recover for it. It's like
Physically,
it's disgusting.
Physically, it just fucks you. Okay, so number 1, if you turn up in a pair of shorts and a blazer, you're possibly a prick.
Is that not just a general
it's
just a general
maybe in the yacht club. Like,
If you fail to acknowledge the staff that like pretty much taking your boarding pass or whatever, you're possibly a prick.
yeah.
If you've got 3 pieces of hand luggage, but you don't have 3 hands, you're a prick. If you tell people that you paid good money for this flight, as opposed to bad money, you're a prick. If you exhale loudly and tut because you can't enter the plane first, so that other people can hear it, then you're a prick.
There should be somebody at the front of the queue monitoring that.
Yeah.
So there should be like
Not knocking them out.
huffing right up to the end, mate.
Yeah.
Next person. Like,
If you ask loudly where's the bubbles as soon as you sit in your seat, you're a prick.
What's that in reference to?
Just like, oh, can we get some champagne?
Oh, right, okay,
Yeah.
right, bubbles, right. I was actually thinking about, like, if you've been on a long haul flight with the blown bubbles.
And usually like to get in
my
the
brain went
jacuzzi
to
before
Michael
the plane
Jackson's
takes
Monkey.
off. Number 7, if you use other passenger seats as an armrest when you're getting out the seat,
Yes.
then you're a fucking massive prick.
Yes, I agree with that one, 100%.
Like, fucking stand up, mate, you've got legs.
8 hours in.
8, if you fucking cough and do not cover your mouth, you're a massive prick. Number 9, if you shout across the cabin at people that you know, book seats together, you're a prick. And number 10, if you talk loudly on hands-free
Oh.
on a flight?
on a flight while like they're boarding everyone,
Right, aye.
then to me, like, you're a fucking massive world class.
What's your worst experience? I've got a belter.
Well,
I can
I've got
relate with the
an
last
absolute
one
fucking
because
belter.
I've been on many a number 41 bus in Glasgow with some bam like playing like doof
So
out his phone.
that hands free and that I think that's for any public places. Anybody that's shouting on a phone, and Costa and fucking the train, the bus, fucking get a rest. Nobody gives a fuck, mate.
Aye.
Like nobody cares about what you're talking about. Like, hello, you're like, right, calm down. Right,
See the cracking
calm
thing in
yourself down.
Union Street yesterday? There's a girl and she's got earbuds in, right? Bluetooth earbuds. But she's talking to the phone like that while she's walking along the street.
Aye.
And I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, sorry, Siri, I don't understand either. But I was just like that. But I was just like that. What the fuck is going on? Like, it's just like
Absolutely.
totally regressing.
I had a flight, I think it was 8 hours, and I looked behind me and it was like a family, so it was one of the 4 seats in the middle of the cabin, and it was like mum, kid, baby, and then dad.
Right.
So the baby's right behind me, and being 6'5", I'm like, fucking beautiful. I can just slam this seat back. Because there's literally nobody behind me. It's a baby. Like, it's like 1, 2.
Did you shout, give him the chair when you pushed it back?
Not at all. I put the chair back, And the mum was like, "Can you put your chair forward?" I was like, "What for?" She's like, "Because the kid's behind you. That's a baby." She's like, "No, just put your chair forward." I was like, "No." Just no, and the dad was just like giving me the eye as if, and I was like, "No, fuck that! I'm refusing to bring my chair back up. It's a fucking baby. It doesn't have a fucking clue. It's not like it needs its dinner. Like it needs the tray for its dinner.
Yeah.
Like, why do you want me to put my fucking chair back?" It's just they must have thought I was a massive. Probably thought I was a prick because I wouldn't put my chair back, but. No, like I'm 6'5", I'm uncomfortable. Fuck your Wayne. Like it's a baby. Fuck's sake. I'm still raging about that. But that's my worst experience on a flight was getting abused by a mother because I'd put my chair back on its baby, and I still don't understand.
You prick you.
I know, absolute prick. But I'm with you, man. Long haul flights, the food's shite, the entertainment's mediocre, the recycled air's disgusting. Like I'm 6'5", you're a tall guy as well. It seems to be that air travel's getting progressively more and more uncomfortable for tall people.
It's getting closer to that 44 bus.
You just can't.
Except I can smoke on the 44.
See on like any.
Pretty sure you shouldn't be.
see on any normal flight, I literally need to sit like perfectly upright for like 7 hours, just like can't move because my knees are hitting the chair. And my back's against this fucking back. I hate it. Absolutely fucking hate it.
Now, I'm not going to say that I've studied interrogation techniques, but I'm sure we're all aware of stress positions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you're sitting in that upright chair for a period of time, it's like that is a fucking stress position.
Yeah.
So you either need to get up and get out your seat or whatever, and you need to start moving about, but it's not designed. It's not like there's, there's not like really any area that you could like say do a lunge or whatever.
Go and congregate.
Yeah, you can, unless you're in first class where they've got like a fucking bar or whatever.
They've got beds.
One of them's got a gym, so you could literally go and have a wee run.
One of them's got a shower. The Emirates business class. Emirates first class. They've got showers, and I've got a friend actually, a really good friend of mine, and I met him through the show, and he's an actor, and he's a handsome looking boy, and he travels by himself because he's traveling for work, and he quite often gets upgraded. So he was coming back from India. He's doing a film in India just now, and he was coming back from India, and they just said, sorry, you're in the wrong seat. And he was just like, 16B? Hold on, no, this is my seat. I know, sir, you're in the wrong seat if you'd just like to come with me. So they then take him from his business class seat all the way through into first class. And they just go, "Are you the actor from that film?" And he's like, "Oh, I actually am." Like, "We just like to be more comfortable through here."
Oh, see that?
What if he'd said no? What if he'd been like, "No, it's no me, you're going to go, right, cool, we'll just go back to your seat through there then."
Fuck off.
You know what I mean? Like, no, I want one of these now.
Well, his movie was actually on in-flight entertainment, so I think they obviously knew it.
Right.
But,
seen him on the DVD cover.
That's like that whole thing where if you don't have anything, if you go to the Oscars party, the after party, they walk through and it's like, "Oh, have a lease for a Merc for a year." And
yeah.
So if you've the more that you have, the more that you just get thrown at you. So this guy's an actor, clearly got a great job and has a wonderful life, sitting in business class already, and they're like, "Oh, just pop up to first class if you're just normal Joe." Whatever, or me, for instance, I don't get that shit.
No.
You know, I get contempt because I'm so tall, and I'm like, "Is there any extra legroom?" They're like, "No, fuck you. You can pay 120 quid for it, or fuck
you
off."
in your economy seat.
Exactly. Although Emirates flights, I've been on one. I've been to Dubai once, and I was on one, and it was the best flight I've ever been on in my life. Like the legroom's perfect, free booze all the way there for an airline that's owned by Muslims.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that they're just like, "How many Jack Daniels do you want? 50?
It's a country that's in conflict in between like the religious values and like, you know, materialism and the growth of a country, because, you know, again, not saying anything controversial, but the way that Dubai grows is very much, I would say, from my limited economic standing, is on the Western model of, you know,
growth and all that.
Yeah. But yeah, so when I ended up getting upgraded, he was like, is this the plane with the shower? And she was like, yeah. So he said he was in the shower and it was like, 10 minutes. And I was like, how was it? He goes, "Oh, it was amazing." He's like, because like a minute ago, like you were sitting in your seat and now you're like covered in a shower. And it's like, the plane's doing like, 749 miles an hour, whatever it is. Yeah.
That's wild. So in terms of the acting side, I think that's something that as we were kind of looking into, yourself in the build up to this, I noticed you've got a number of like acting credits.
Yeah.
One that I was particularly interested in was just because it was one I seen pop up recently.
Hope it's not one I've made up.
Alright, fair enough.
You were James Bond, and
so like when you played Frodo, Like, no, Wild Rose, the Glasgow lassie who gets out of prison and tries to become a country singer. Like, that was one that I'd seen recently and was put, we need to, keep an eye out for that. But as well as hairdressing and bodyguarding and all the rest of it, how did you get into acting? I mean, it's a pretty diverse offshoot to some of the previous stuff you've done.
Well, I'd qualified in Tony and Guy at the time as a hairdresser, and it'd been this massive 4-year journey, and I'd got to the end of it, and I felt kind of deflated. I was elated for the first 6 months; it was amazing, and then realised that I didn't have any goals after that.
Right.
So I ended up doing hospital radio, and that was good, and then ended up doing stand-up comedy, and that was really good fun, and then I just came up with this mad idea that, hey, why don't I quit my highly successful full-time job and go to drama school as opposed to joining an Amdram club, which my brother said, maybe you should join an Amdram club. And I was like, fuck it, no, I'm going to drama school. So it was 2 years there.
Right.
And then I would just go for an audition and go for an audition and go for an audition. And if you like rejection, then acting's the job for you.
Right.
So it was good. And then just after that, just sort of got one job, and then it got a wee bit bigger, and then it got a wee bit bigger. So yeah, I mean, it's been really good fun. The days where it's good, you just have to pinch yourself and just going, this is tremendous. And then there's other days where you're just going, what the fuck am I doing here?
Right.
So
because we had the guys for Kalan in a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about being extras on, was it the Outlaw King or something like that? Or was it the Robert the Bruce one?
Bruce movie that
caused
all the
Angus
controversy.
McFadden or whatever
it is. Cineworld, doesn't
and they were saying about that, we're going to be extras, and then the next thing it's them just kind of stood in a field in armour for 8 hours when the chucking down.
Sometimes you see amazing stuff like the Jessie Buckley performance. So I believe it's a performance at the end where she's at the fruit market.
Yep.
For me, a good actor is somebody that can react, but a really great actor is somebody that knows what their character is, knows the relationship, and they just deliver that same line with the same intensity, volume, pitch, and tone. I've maybe seen half a dozen people pull it off really strong, but Jessie Buckley came out, and I swear to you, she sang that song maybe 36, 40 times from beginning to end, and she possibly got about halfway through or finished it halfway in, and each single time, just that
boom,
just that breath, and then going into it, and the swing of the guitar and everything. I mean, she was she was tremendous.
Aye, that's definitely one I want to get around to seeing pretty soon. And
is that a true story?
He
was telling me the premise here, before.
Well, I think the premise of it sort of goes back to pretty much every country and western thing, dreams and nightmares and addiction and struggle and not being understood, or I think country and western music is so popular because it speaks
it's
about
the stories.
It's the stories, and I think it speaks about sort of the duality of the human being, that we have all these things that we want to get to and we can't quite get, and then we struggle for, and then they're taken away, or we rely on people and then they fuck us up or whatever, or then we think we're gonna get there, and then we do, and it's this amazing thing. I think Dolly Parton said it best when she said, if you want to have the rainbow, you have to have a little rain.
Yeah.
So what's your own sort of personal experiences in that? So have you had sort of your own troubles and adversity that you've managed to come through yourself?
Fuck yeah.
I think everybody has, but
everyone has.
I don't know if many people, a lot of people maybe don't want to talk about it.
No, not at all. People always say school's the happiest time of your life, that's the best or whatever. I've got a learning disability.
Okay.
So I always I'd go into class, and I think the reason why I can do a generalist thing, or I can turn my hand to so many different things, is because I'm like that as opposed to that. So I would just go into school, and it's the teacher would be talking to me, and she'd be like, does everyone get that? And then I'd be like, no. But then it was always a bit insecure because I was always taller than everyone else. So I then didn't want to go and say, oh, I don't get this, can you give me a hand with that?
Yeah.
So that sort of, regressed or whatever. So that sort of put me apart a wee bit. And then we ended up having a couple of deaths in the family, which was again, further remote. And then I think when I reached 15, it was this great thing where all the BAMs left school. And then it was
I remember that.
Yeah.
I can totally remember that.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, it was just like, someone's like, rubbed the lamp, and then it's this, all right, okay, so, we can talk about stuff.
Aye.
Where was it you went to school?
Largs Academy,
All right, okay.
which is not a private school. I don't know why they called it an academy. But that sort of coincided with, like, the discovering of alcohol. And I think that there'd been like a lot of pain that, I think only as an adult you look back and just go, fucking, you should have possibly like, dealt with that.
Mm-hmm.
But like then the alcohol was there, and it's not like, it was like fighting lampposts like 7 nights a week. It wasn't at all. But it was just that thing of like, socialising.
Yeah.
It was like, that big massive sort of lubricant. And yeah, it was mad. It was like really mad. Like, when I look back on that behaviour now, I'm just like, now I'll maybe not drink for 3 months at a time, or I'll go to a wedding and I'll have like whatever drinks. But not that alcohol was a struggle, but it was an impediment, and one that I wasn't perhaps aware of.
Yeah, I had a similar. I mean, I know Matt spoke openly about his problems with alcohol, but I don't see myself as I had a problem with alcohol, but I know that I definitely had some problematic behaviour when I was drunk, and I had went through years of he laughs.
I found almost all it hilarious.
Yeah,
Like, at the time.
I had years where, and I used to openly say this, I would drink to get drunk. I didn't enjoy drinking, so like now I enjoy drinking. So if it's a Saturday night and the UFC's on, or we're watching a game of football, I can quite happily enjoy. I cut like 3 Coronas and be like, I really like Coronas, and that's a really nice beer. Whereas if we go back even 2 years, it would be, right, we're in here and I'm drinking whatever, 6 or 7 of them, and then I want a shot, and then we get out and we hit the pub, and it's just like Jack Daniels and shots, until you're paralytic drunk.
Like sports drinking.
And that, and that is a problem. But when I look back at it, it's like, I never had really had a problem, but I realise now. And it's absolutely what you had said as well. So many parallels, like 15, 16, drinking 3 litres of cider to prove that I was the big guy. And
or to prove that you fitted in. I didn't really enjoy it, but it was a thing of like, there was suddenly this like blanket thing, which then meant everyone was like hanging about, or it was for me it was a blanket thing that nobody could see. I don't want to sound like a pure dick. Nobody could see the real me because everyone was steaming, and if I was steaming, then I didn't have to let the real me out.
Yeah.
Or if I did let it out, then no one would really be able to see it. It was a really weird time, but because I'd started working in bars at 15,
Right.
I'm not going to say alcoholism, but
I mean, you're at least partially your environment in a lot of senses.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And at 15 years old, working in a bar environment, like,
so was that.
different times, I suppose.
And then it was
you know what I mean?
hairdressing as well, so it's like, if you're not going out for 4 beers after work, then you're not getting the next promotion. And if you're not like, doing other stuff, then you're not getting the promotion because you're not one of the boys, you're not one of the girls.
Working in bars, hairdressing, acting, radio presenting, these are all notorious industries where people are like coke and alcohol. Do you know what I mean? Like, but the common thing, I remember somebody saying to me that everybody that manages a bar, I think the guy worked at Wetherspoons, is like, every manager that I know in Wetherspoons is an absolute coke fiend.
Yeah.
And they pretty much do it to get through the day. It's because they're pissed. They get up, they need to work in the bar 12 till 12, and it's like, I need to go on it, so I need to get in. They're all, but that's 4 that you've had that are notorious for people going out and getting smashed after work. So I think you've gravitated towards them, maybe.
But it was mad. It was just like, I ended up getting a job in a bar because I like being around people and I like socialise and I like talking and like, to have this whole spiel when people came into the bar. And then it started as a glass collector, and then it was like doing posters, and then I was pouring drinks, and it was like that, Now even when I go into a bar, I'm just like, and one for yourself, because it's just like, one for yourself, like,
Yeah.
And then hairdressing is like drinking all the time or whatever, and it was fucking crazy. And then at one point about 11 years ago, my life really started to go off the rails like pretty fucking heavily, and it was just due to stress at work. I'd taken this position, and it was like my CV, although that was true, like, not that I'd been missold the job, but like basically said, can you do that? And I was like, yeah, of course I can do that. And then like I sat down to actually do it, and it was just like, the stuff that we're asking was like 10 times what they're asking for an interview. And then like I bought a flat, and then I had like a major depressive episode, but not going to the doctor and getting it sorted out. It was just like, I'll just sort it by like, doing exercise and diet, because it's all sort of stigmatized or whatever. And then there was a point about 11 years ago where it was just like that, a couple of a couple of knocks on one side of the shoulder, I think would have sent me to not being here today.
Yeah.
And luckily
Right.
enough, I had a couple of knocks on the shoulders, which sent me in another direction. And
Yeah.
that's why, like, you know, sometimes when I'm walking along the street and I see someone that's, you know, homeless or whatever, you see someone that's, you know, I'm not going to say junkie, I'm going to say, you know, drug dependent.
An addict.
Yeah,
or-
yeah.
And I'm not going to say an alcoholic, I'm going to say someone that's, you know, alcohol dependent or whatever. It's just like when you sit down and talk to these people and, you know, fuck man, depression, alcohol, drugs, it doesn't give a fuck
No.
what your tax code is, it doesn't give a fuck what your postcode is, and it doesn't give a fuck what your mum and dad did for a living or what school you went to. It's like I've met guys that have been doctors, I've met guys that came from country estates in Perthshire, whatever. Obviously it seems to be the thing of the working classes, and it's just because it's always there. But yeah, I mean, turmoil.
Yeah.
Even when, like, you know, there's periods like when I started this or whatever, like when I first started this, like the first episode, I remember like sitting down doing it, and it was like the actual first time I'd felt really good, like really good in a long time. And it was almost like I'd sort of forgotten that thing of, like, you know, I'm not going to say being a creative, but like creating something and expressing
Yeah.
yourself, and like, you know,
No, we've covered
You know,
this a number of
There's
times on other
something- there's
shows. You know what I
something
mean?
in it.
Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
there's times when we finish, and I'll be brutally honest, it has been a wee while, but when we first started doing it, and I think it's just because we do it once a week now, but where the guests would leave and I would just feel like elated and be like, this is strange. Like I just feel like
it's great
amazing.
though. It's good.
There's something in that. But that's exactly what you were saying. Something that I've realised in the last maybe even just 2-3 years is not even that the last year that I came from a place where it was the junkies. And it was like, I mean, we would. I've said this in the podcast before. I'm really ashamed of it, but I openly talk about it. Is that as friends, we would, growing up in East End, it would be like junkie bashing, where the local smackhead would be like pottering about, try to get money off you, and you would just be like, "Oh, we'll do this, we'll do that," and just take the piss out of them. I mean, never really gave anybody like a real proper beating or anything like that.
Yeah.
But and that was the whole sort of, they're just a junkie, and that the way that they would be referred to in the scheme, or even out of that, like, fucking scum, basically. Or walking past homeless people, even my dad's generation, it would be like, well, they've made decisions that have meant that they
that
are
was
what
the
they
narrative,
are,
aye.
and
Yeah.
we live in a meritocracy, and that you get to where you're going to get to because of your own steam, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. But it's just not true. Like,
not at all.
so many people are hampered by the situation that they just happen to be born into, and I mean that even for people that are born into money, where it's the nanny brings them up and then they're shipped off to boarding school.
Yeah.
That's just as damaging to a child as having to get shipped off to their granny because their mum and dad's want to get drunk in a flat somewhere in a scheme. That's the sort of realizations that I'm coming to talking to people, is just like, fuck man, like these people, I've just looked down my nose at them my full life,
think that's the narrative,
and I'm one of them.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think if you're brought up with that narrative, then it's like, that's, you know, if it's like, I'm not going to get into politics, but
Yeah.
like if you grow up and your family's all Labour, fucking hell, you're possibly going to be Labour, and you can have that, maybe not for fascists, but I'm going to say Tory next. If you have that for Tory or Labour SNP, that's the rhetoric, that's the thing that you're going to be brought up with. So that's
Absolutely.
possibly what you're going to take on board. And I think that thing of like just going, oh yeah, fucking junkie, it's like, that's because it's something that, you know, it's been heard or something that's been conditioned. Whereas I think, because I had a period of time where it was just like, not the fucking best. But I don't, in fairness, I'd always been thinking of people that are less fortunate than me. Remember one time I'd finished work and it was like a really horrible night, and I used to get housing benefit in the middle of the month. But I'd get paid my wage. My wage, I think, was £200 a week, and my rent was £220. So when everyone was celebrating payday, then I'd be basically £20 down.
Yeah.
But the rent would still have to get paid.
Yeah.
So I'd have to walk from Corner Renfield and St Vincent. So then I'd have to walk all the way along like Sucky Hall Street up to Mary Hill. So generally walk along Sucky Hall Street, and there'd be people obviously like last Friday, so let's be honest, everyone's like fucking drinking and smoking
the
and
pubs are full and everybody's-
wenching and all that kind of carry, and I'm basically going up the road with whatever money I've got in my pocket.
Yeah.
And I passed Mr. Chips just beside the garage, and
rest in peace,
yeah,
Mr. Chips.
sad. So when I passed, there was this like, you know, junkie alcoholic or whatever outside, and I was walking past, I went like, any spare change? And I was like, oh no, sorry mate. And then I just got pretty much the dry cleaners, just like that. Like, fucking hold on, Stephen, like, you've got fresh, clean, dry clothes on, you're going to go up the road, you're going to, like, have a shower, you're going to have your dinner, you're going to go to your bed, you're going to get up and you're going to go to your work tomorrow. So go back and sort the guy out. So went over and was like, how you doing? I was like, what's your name? He was like, Michael. And I was like, hey, what can I get? He's like, oh, can I get fish and chips? I'm like, what else do you want? He's like, can I get a bottle of ginger? I was like, what do you want? He's like, Iron Brew. I was like, what else? He's like, hey, they've got lion bars. Can I get a lion bar? I'm like, no problem at all. So I went in and I think I had like £2.50 left, whatever. This is my entire, like, I didn't have anything else. Like, this was everything that I had. And then I just gave it to him and I was like, there you go, mate. So I'm sort of feeling good about it. And then I walk back up into the flat, and as I go to turn the light on, like, the power meter just trips and there's no power card. So
no good deed goes unpunished, does it?
yeah. But at the same time, you're just like, okay, well, what is a small inconvenience for me is something that's like, you know, massive to the guy.
Yeah.
And if the guy wants to spend the £2.50 and get a bottle of LD, or if he wants to, like, you
That's how
know,
he
get a
comforts
bottle of
himself.
cough
That's
syrup,
it, aye.
then, you know, that's up to him, because I'm not there to judge him, because I don't know what his story is.
absolutely not.
And
You
you know,
just hope that
I think that's
they'll
something we get
do
a
the
lot
right thing.
If you're talking to other folk in terms of the podcast and stuff, that's definitely one of the kind of things that has changed. Like, as much as society's attitudes and opinions are changing towards, you know, people who are dependent on whatever sort of substance or, you know, other thing that they might be abusing. But I think the attitude that is changing within us ourselves, you know, doing this, talking to people for different charities, different backgrounds, different experiences. And I think I can relate to what you're saying, having been in that sort of similar situation. You know what I mean? Like, talking to other folk, having my own story, your own story that we all carry ways, but actually, like, getting out there and just, like, sharing it with folk, getting
Yeah.
back after them as well. You know what I mean? I think it's brilliant.
I think what you're saying as well is I'm a big believer in just trying to stay grateful about what you do have, and I think that the absolute boom in social media has led a lot of people to think I don't have a lot.
Yeah.
Like, when in fact you've got way more than what you actually realise. And
Yeah.
I was terrible for that. I mean, I've got a similar sort of story, like reaching 29, 30-year-old and basically having a sort of quarter life crisis and going like, what am I doing here? Like,
You're going to live to 120?
Aye. Aye. Maybe 25, let's say 25. But like, getting to that sort of stage, and it almost seems like that was the sort of thing that people used to talk about when people were getting into their 50s, where they would have that midlife crisis and they would go, and I had that in my 20s because I just realised, like, I don't know where I'm going, and I don't really. But also, if I look back now, it's like you owned a house, you had a car, you were in a relationship, you had a good job, you still got all these things, but I think that a lot of the time we get to see this highlight reel on the internet where all we see is people's holidays.
it's all establishing shots.
Yeah, I've got people that I can literally bring to mind where I think that they're just constantly on holiday, but it's no the case.
Yeah.
They're just not posting Instagram stories on Monday morning, and it's
when they're,
pissing
like,
rain, and they're walking to work. They're just not doing
pouring
it.
tap water into their cornflakes because they don't have any milk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that this is what podcasting and or like new media is giving people. And a reason why a lot of people really like it is it's a platform for you to hear voices similar to yours and going, fuck, like, aye, that's exactly the same as me. And I think a lot of my problems was I felt like nobody really understood me, and I felt like I was putting on this sort of charade for people, and that I really no truly be myself. And in the last year, being more myself, it's hard. I'm not being like, it's dead easy for you to just go out there and be yourself and hope that people accept you. But I feel like it there's just so many benefits in it. And so absolutely, like what you were saying there, is that you didn't have a lot, but you had more than
The guy.
and probably a lot of people out there that just don't sort of pipe up and go, I need help, or like, I don't have a lot, or like, I need help with money, or whatever it is. And I used to think that money was like evil. Do you know what I mean? Like, that money was like the sort of root of evil, and it's like, it's subjective.
Yeah.
And it's man-made. And if you've got a lot of it, fantastic. And if you don't have a lot of it, then so what? Like, what does that make you any less than anybody else? I genuinely don't think so.
No, not at all.
So we're cleaning well over there, which has been, you know, quite enjoyable. But as we're sort of wrapping up, like, what's next? We've got hairdresser, bodyguard, actor, comedian, podcaster. Sounds like you've done a fair amount of travel. Like, what's next for?
Well, I'm actually launching a new business.
Okay.
which is they specialise in the drone market for high-end real estate and private islands. So I'm specialising in that in the moment.
That sounds like something you would only be able to exclusively pitch to Bond villains.
Well, actually, there's actually a website, and all they do is sell private islands, and it's a worldwide company. And there is a couple of them that you just go, holy fuck! Does that creator slide open? There's a room where the guys and ninjas in it.
Jeffrey Epstein, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
no, like that dude.
Bizarre cat.
Private islands, like I think that people buying.
We're getting the wrong connotation with his new business here, by the way.
Thanks for stepping in there.
People buying a private island are for the watching. I think you need to be like, what's that guy up to in his private island?
But no, I would like to continue with the podcast. But at the moment, I would like to go back into it with a bit more money able to spend on developing it as a product, like production wise. And I'd also like to develop more money, like sort of Facebook ads and stuff, because I know where I would like to get it to. And I think in order to do that, it's going to be a substantial amount of investment over a long term of time. But yeah, I went and had a meeting at the BBC because I quite fancied shooing myself into a job at the BBC.
Right.
And that was like really quite sobering. Because he was basically like, you should. He goes, you should like go and do like a specialist thing. I was just like, well, no, I said like I'm a journalist. Things like you find it really hard to get on as a journalist. So I would like. I mean, I would love to meet another like 58 people that are on the screen, because all these people have been really interested and they've all satisfied the idea of, are you doing something different?
Yep.
Have you been through adversity? Do you have something to share? And I mean, it's like they're all doing something exceptional, and I would love to like meet these other 58 people, and I would love to share their story, but I would just love to share it. I would imagine like you guys, in a bigger platform, and some adverts and put some money in the pocket. Not that money is everything, but it's just like
you need to live.
Well, you need to live, but it'd be like really good to to grow it and develop it and get a studio. It's just that thing of you're still wanting to keep that quality. Because there's a couple of podcasts where like I've listened to and you're just like that. Hold on, like how long's the episode? The episode's like 20 minutes.
That is, I mean, I'm a purist, I think, like in a certain extent. And when I see people that are like the next episode of the podcast and it's like 13 minutes, 20 minutes long, it's like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like, is there enjoyment in it for you? Like, surely you can get more than fucking 20 minutes out of somebody. We've sat here and had people literally, we were talking earlier on, shitting themselves. You can see the sweat patches coming. And we get an hour and 10 minutes out of them because after like the 10-15 minute mark, they start to relax. And, right, we're getting a bit of a flow going. But I don't see that as like a podcast. Like, although it technically is, because podcasting's anything, but 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it's like...
Yeah. And I mean,
silly.
If somebody wants to like, chunk out however many, episodes, whatever, but I would rather like do, and I'm not saying they're all great, they're all good, a lot of them have got problems, especially early on ones, but it's like, they're all interesting. This is a guy that like went to Eton and like studied engineering, and then he got into the .com thing, and then he started like tricking out Porsches, and now he's got one of the best custom shops in the west coast of America for... He's probably only rivaled by one other company in Germany, and it's just like you sit down to him and we're talking about like Renault 5 GT turbos and hot hatches and all this kind of carry on, and he was really good. These guys as well. So yeah, I would love to
just keep doing the podcast.
I would love to keep doing
your drone business. So just before we do, because I'm choking for the toilet, but
I'm not going to bomb your street. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Can you teach me how to bomb other people's streets?
So why would somebody in a private estate want a drone? Is it to like monitor the the game, or like...
That'd be the case of if you're wanting to sell your island or whatever you're building.
It gives you like, so you
can
make
see like
videos and stuff,
where
like
it
promo
is,
videos,
and like obviously if it's in the state, you want to see where all the outhouses are in the water. Do you have rights to fish and this, that, and next thing?
I was thinking more guys that get people come onto their estate to go and game hunt, and they would use the drone to like follow that, right, there's where they are, so we can go there, and like that type of thing.
The applications for it are like are wild.
Drones are the next.
We're moving into a place as well where Scotland and like kind of aerospace and sort of drone technology are in probably quite a good position with the whatever spaceport thing coming on. You've got to imagine there's going to be a lot of that. It's going to be drone driven.
Like all three of us could go down to like Jessop's or John Lewis or whatever, and we could all go and buy and register drones right now, and then you could either go and use it for something really nice, and you could like go and take pictures of a pond and do like a lovely thing, or you could take it on holiday and you could do a panorama or whatever. or you could use it for like, you know, really bad things.
Right.
I mean, as I'm like a licensed pilot and I've got to go through all these things, insurance, and
Right.
I've fucking got so much paperwork to do. It's not funny. Like, shoot me now. But yeah, it's just mad.
And that's without missiles attached to it.
That's without missiles.
That's without
attached.
missiles. Imagine the paperwork with.
But it's just mad that you can go and do it now. But I mean, yeah, totally live in the future. But I mean, you look at countries like Singapore. Like, Singapore's like so advanced in the drone market right now.
Right.
Like, the stuff they're doing with drones is just like off the charts. They've got like special pads. So like, say you and I live like in a building or whatever. It's like we wouldn't get the guy in the scooter or the guy in the van or whatever to go and take the parcel from there to there.
It's like drone deliveries.
It's drone delivery to the roof, but then it will put it into like 16B, and then you'll just get a text saying that's your parcel arrived, and then you basically walk up to the helipad, go into the wee thing, open up 16B, and there's like your packet of jammy Dodgers. It's crazy.
Amazon are doing a lot of stuff with drones and try to get drone drops and stuff like that.
Right.
A thing. So do you think the future will be just us wandering about with just drones going about above
I think
our
it
heads?
could be, but I love that thing like Amazon go, oh, we're going to do this thing, and you're like, I don't know if it's just how I was brought up. Sorry, family, but there's a part of me that thinks, okay, well, if you're sending out a drone that costs between 5 and 10 grand to deliver a packet of jammy Dodgers, what's to stop theoretically you being like in a building higher than that and then throwing over like an old net and then crashing the drone, and then you've now got like a 10 grand drone that you just re-register, re-chip, putting your propellers on, and then you're like, well, hey, and a free packet of jammy Dodgers.
A free packet of jammy Dodgers. I listened to something where they were talking about like how to bring down a drone, and they were saying that it's you don't shoot it down, you hack it.
Right.
The only way really to bring down a drone is to hack the fucking thing and land it, because shooting it down is pointless.
Yeah, you can either shoot it with like a projectile, which is really, really hard, because obviously you can't shoot it. You've got to shoot it, but it's going to be but you can use like a sonic boom, or you can use an
What,
EMP.
EMP?
Yeah, so if you were like say to go like say like the G8 Summit or whatever, there'll obviously like be a ring of steel.
Yep.
But then on top of that, there'll be like sharpshooters on the roof, and they're looking like going to take out a ground threat.
Yep.
But then now they have guys, and they'll basically like have like a ring or a geofence around the building, so that they basically can't get up there.
Can he bring a drone in?
Can't
Mental.
bring a drone in there.
Super interesting.
Aye, that's definitely one I think I'm going to be reading up in the future.
Aye,
Because that's piqued my interest,
some
definitely.
drones. Like, amazing conversation. Like you've definitely got a media personality.
Oh, thank you.
Like, but no, just that. Like,
Money talks.
But you seem like a really, really nice guy. It's been a cracking conversation.
Aye,
So
really
thanks for
enjoyed
fucking
having you
in
on,
and
man.
talking
Thank
to
you
us,
for
man.
having me on. This is the second podcast that I've been on, and I feel very, very proud to have been invited on to your guys' podcast, because it's one that I listen to. I think your guests and your style,
thanks, man.
it's really good, and it's nice that it's something that is uniquely Glaswegian, if that makes sense.
That's what we
Yeah,
tried.
we did
wasn't it?
try
Aye,
and
we
keep
tried
it
that at the
Glasgow.
start. Like Matt came up with the name Rebel City, and we were sort of like, we need to distance ourselves from the rebel, like the Celtic sort of Irish rebel. But it was about Glasgow being like a rebel city. We always sort of go against the grain and just get sort of the Glasgow
always a bit
connotations
different.
and stuff. Aye, but again, man, thanks very much.
Aye,
for
and on the
coming
upside of that, anybody listening to this, you always had a really great episode recently. I'm going to make him mess his surname, Gary Meikle.
Gary Michael, yeah.
Meikle. Like, I watched that in recent weeks, and again, that was a cracking conversation. We just bounced off each other, amazing.
He was
So
all right. I mean, I was amazing.
if you're going to start, if you're going to start anywhere with Stephen, this is the one. But other than that, cheers, man.
No,
Thanks
thank you
very much.
Thank you very much.